Hey, Instagram. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Art of Relationships show. Have two very special guests. I'm excited. And we're going to talk about narcissism. And as people know me, I'm huge at a lot of people that throw out terms, narcissist, this or that, like it's throwing out water. And we'll get into what is maybe a real narcissist. And also, everybody thinks of narcissists as men, but what about women out there as well? Can women be a narcissist? So I want to welcome Sherry Gaba. Am I
Gaba, but that's
Gaba
okay.
and Carla Romo? I appreciate you both. Give a little first before we dive into it. Give a little bit of history of what you are currently doing. I'm sure people have seen Sherry, maybe the older generation has seen Sherry before with Dr. Drew, and give a little bit of background, and we'll jump right in after that.
I'm dying right now because you said the
I know,
sorry.
it's hilarious.
You said the older generation. Sherry and I are 30 years apart. We are the Love Fix podcast. So if you have listened to the Love Fix, we are your co-hosts of the Love Fix podcast. I'm a certified dating and relationship coach. Sherry and I are 30 years apart. Sherry, who are you?
I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and yes, I'm the older part of the Carla and Sherry duo. And yes, Celebrity Rehab probably aired about 10 years ago. So yes, the
2000.
older generation, but maybe some people
Yeah.
here, in Instagram world, or
Oh,
podcast
sure.
world have heard about us or Celebrity Rehab
Oh,
or
I'm
Dr.
sure,
Drew.
I'm sure they have. So that's cool. And going to be talking. I welcome. I'm very, very flattered, humbled to have you both on here. So this is very cool. As most people know, I've been working with couples, oh boy, in the field for over 21 years now. Have with a lot of betrayal, a lot of cheating. That's a big thing I work with as far as trauma healing over that. And a lot of people throw out the word. I know it's probably all over media, all over the place, over the world, as far as narcissist. Greg, I'm with the narcissist. He's a narcissist. I was with an ex-narcissist. And a lot of people, I think they really don't know what maybe a true narcissist might be, or behaviors, tendencies, whatever. And I tell people, because you didn't get your way once in a while doesn't mean you're with the narcissist. Let's be real. So if both of you, whoever wants to go first or handle this, what would your definition, or we can get in a diagnostic aspect about what a true narcissistic personality disorder is. What is your take on that, especially maybe examples in a relationship?
Carla, would you like me
Sherry,
to go?
take it away.
Oh,
'Cause you
okay,
are the
sure.
licensed
I mean,
social worker.
yeah, Carla has a lot on this too, but especially in the dating world, not everybody's a narcissist, as you said, and it is all over the place, and it's kind of scary how people are pointing the finger to people and saying you're a narcissist, you're a narcissist.
Yes.
You can have traits. But a true narcissist lacks empathy. They have no understanding of compassion and looking at your point of view. They always have to be right. They do a lot of the things that we talk about, gaslighting, where what they say and their actions don't match. A lot of cognitive dissonance, where there's this like nothing matches up, right? What they say and what they do not match up. They do hoovering. So once they think that they're losing you or they're feeling any sense of abandonment, they're going to try to hoover you back in with manipulation. Two real big telltale signs is if they love bombed you in the very beginning, meaning over the top gifts, texting all the time, just not slow and steady dating. Like they want to suck you in, and they want to suck you in fast because they have their own abandonment issues. And then finally, if you try to set a boundary with a narcissist, they won't have it. They will just go ballistic. But I have other tips on what would constitute a toxic relationship, but maybe Carla, you want to add to the narcissist.
Nice.
Yeah.
Please.
And I think what's really big is like the dating piece. So intuitively, I always say it's the biggest red flags around a narcissist and dating is your gut. That's the biggest red flag, because it's like, something isn't right. Something's
Yes.
not adding up. Something's a little off. the way they're talking about their ex in a really negative way and that they were crazy and framing them, or the fact that they're rude to the wait staff. I mean, there's so many things here, right? That kind of, it's just too good to be true. Like, wait a minute. And it's not the, when's the shoe going to drop? I have past trauma. It's too good to be true. It's this like, it just almost feels like euphoric. It's like this like chemical high that you get with a narcissist. And so that gut feeling, that's going to take you, that's going to carry you in the very beginning of saying, okay, hold on, wait a minute. My gut's telling me one thing. Don't paint those red flags green. Listen to the red flags. There's something off here.
And it is important to recognize that if you came from a history of abuse, parents that were neglectful, abandoned you, this type of thing, you're going to be prone more towards that sort of personality because that's what you're used to. You're used to unavailable. You're used to being neglected. You're used to being abused. So I totally agree with Carla that there is this intuitive knowing. However, if you have a history of severe trauma, because one of my specialties is trauma therapy, you don't always know what you know because you never had it modeled or you never had what you needed early on. So if you don't have that initial intuition, but I think Carla's right on when she says that, but there can be examples of where they really don't trust their intuition because they never had what they needed from their own caregivers.
No, and I think you both brought up some terrific, awesome points. Gut instinct is huge. I agree with Carla too. And even, couples, clients I work with, I tell people, you know what, I want the heart and the gut to align. That is usually what I tell people. No, I'm not masturbating people. I want the gut and heart to align. And I look at this situation where a lot of people will say, oh, my heart, but I love her. I love him. I'm like, what does your gut say? I want the heart and the gut to say the same thing. And it's huge. Carla made a reference, red flags green. I say, are you watering down the red flags to maybe a light pink, that type of situation? And Sherry, you mentioned about love bombing. And this is one thing that I might have a little bit of maybe I might disagree with you a little bit. I agree. Narcissists love bomb. They can love bomb. I'm all that to suck you in. But I don't think all people that love bomb are narcissists. What is your take on that?
I mean, okay, so they may be just someone that could be insecure that's trying to suck you in. There may be someone who has manipulative tendencies. They're insecure in that they want to get you. Like I had a guy a few years ago say he's going to marry me on the first date. I mean, that's
really okay.
That's like no.
And you said no, Sherry, and I look at. And it's funny. I say no, right? I tell. What's the difference between a stalker and a potential romantic interest?
Oh, that's a really good question.
If they're hot or not. Let's be real, right?
Okay. I'll go with that.
You wanted to marry you on the first date. That's scary.
It was scary. But you see, because a lot of who Carla and I work with in terms of, she does a lot of the dating. I do the family of origin trauma work. These people are often codependents or love addicts, and they want that intention. They want to be validated, as does a narcissist or the one with narcissistic traits. Mm-hmm. So you're more vulnerable if you're someone that is insecure on either side of the spectrum, because you're going to want to hear all this good stuff. You're going to want to get those texts. It just makes you feel so good. But it's not really slow and steady dating, which is really a healthier way to start a relationship.
In essence, yeah, I do agree with that very much so. And a lot of people, that's when you say, when you feel like you are starting to lose yourself, that you're not being heard, you feel like, what your needs are, what your wishes are. I'm talking in a healthy way. I'm not talking in a selfish way. When they tend to get ignored, you're not being maybe heard. You're being guilt tripped for feeling a certain way. Those are signs I tell people, you really got to step back and look at what is going on. And a lot of people in those situations, what'll happen, they will, they'll step back and I must be imagining things, right? Because you want love, you want to be loved, you want to be adored, cherished, desired, craved, all that. And it feels great. Let's face it. But as time goes on, you start losing yourself. And with the true narcissist, that you're going to feel guilty for being you. You're going to feel guilty for liking what you like or what you believe in, what you value. And no, they're very good at flipping the script and putting it right back on you that you're the wrong, that you're
And
the
because
one
you're being abused,
yes,
suddenly, because you're being abused, and suddenly you don't know what you want, like you said, you lose yourself, and your self-esteem
Yes.
ends up being squashed. And so what you thought you knew, I mean, I have people that say all the time, oh my God, I had self-esteem. So you don't have to start with low self-esteem. You could actually be a really successful person and then end up with a narcissist, and before you know it, you have no self-esteem.
Well, what you're
love that.
describing as well, Greg, is you're describing codependency, which is a loss of self, right?
Yep.
Into somebody else, into a
Yeah.
relationship. And codependency doesn't have to just be with somebody who has addiction. It can be with somebody who has mental illness that they're not taking care of, or mental health issues, aka narcissism. Being in a relationship with a narcissist and losing your sense of self to this person and trying to fix and work on it is codependency.
I love that. Sherry, what is your take on someone that is maybe, okay, let's go there, that they think they're with a narcissist? And a lot of people that are, like, they don't even know it. I mean, it's funny how they get so sucked into it that they really don't know it. They don't want to look at the tendencies, the behaviors, the verbal manipulation, guilt trips, that type of situation. What is your advice with somebody that might be with a narcissist?
Well, you said something important. I'm just going to backtrack a little. You said
Sure.
they don't want to look at it. So they're in denial.
Yeah.
And often they're in denial because they don't want to give up the goodie. It feels so good to be with this person. So they close their eyes to that. You asked, how do you know you're with a narcissist, or what to do if you are with a narcissist?
If you are with a legitimate narcissist, what tips do maybe both of you give to maybe step away from that? And we know when the heart and soul are involved, logic, we know up here, I tell people in our brain and logically, we need to get away. We need to get away. And your heart and soul are so,
Well, often there's a trauma bond going on
Yeah.
because of the fact that they've been up and down, love bombing you and then discarding you, love bombing you, then devaluing you. You suddenly are addicted to that up and down. And now you're in what we call a trauma bond. So you need a really great therapist or a coach or professional that really understands the subject matter to help you break free. It's one of the hardest things to do, to break free, but you can. We always recommend no contact the first 30 days if you can do it, one day at a time. And you just want someone to hold your hand while you're going through this process. People should probably go to I know we're going to talk about this later, but the lovefix.com, get on the mailing list because we're going to have some group programs coming up, which will be amazing and helping hold your hands during the process.
No, I love that. And you need that because a lot of people, they don't have that support, or maybe a lot of friendships, even family members, they've given up. They're not there. They try to help and they're not there. And they're so, man, I've tried to help you, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 times. And then I don't want to hear it anymore. Carla, I'm sorry, you were going to jump in.
I was just going to say it's very isolating.
Yes.
Because you're in a very lonely position, and the narcissist will turn you against your family and friends, or vice versa. And so it's a whole web of isolation. So when you're in this place of trying to break out of narcissistic abuse, it's abuse cycle, right? And so you feel isolated, you feel alone, you don't have the support system that many people, or at least you have an illusion that you have no support system. But a lot of times people don't have the support system, exactly for what you just said. Friends and family have to take care of themselves and have their own boundaries to say, this is too much. I can't involve myself anymore if this is what's going to be happening.
And like you said, Carla, which is so true, they isolate you, especially if it's an abusive relationship. So now you've sort of lost your friends. I mean, hopefully the people that really cared about you will come back, but you've suddenly pushed people away, and you've done it because you're afraid. You're afraid you're going to upset this narcissist because he doesn't want you to have other friends, other interests. He wants you all to him, or she. Again, it's a man or a woman. They want you all to themselves.
Thank you for not being biased. No.
Oh yeah, I get that a lot. People write, well, it can happen to women too, or men too. So yes, it happens. It can happen to
And I
anybody.
know it's ironic. There's what narcissism, borderline are very, very similar in tendencies and behaviors, right? And you look at, real quick, I'm sorry. Hey, everybody, appreciate you watching the Art of Relationship show. Please join in the comments. You're on Instagram right now. I'd love to hear, we'd love to maybe answer a few questions if you have them, and join in the comments down below. And getting back on that aspect, and it's very, very difficult because when the isolation hits, they have a tendency, it's ironic that they make you think you're crazy, you're losing your mind. They start turning people maybe against you, like, oh my God, they're doing this, and they'll lie and they'll manipulate people into thinking you really are losing your mind. Or, maybe you have one drink, oh my God, they're drinking a lot, alcoholic. They start flipping the script around and turning people around to cement that isolation. And it's very scary. And it's one of those things that people just wake up. It could be years later. What the hell am I doing? And it's very, very,
and people don't often put they put codependency with narcissistic abuse. They don't often put love addiction. And I think it's really important. The people that have to be in a relationship, that have love addiction, that only are addicted to the idea of being in love, they're addicted to the idea of romance, they're the ones that are going to be the most vulnerable. And they're the ones that are not going to want to leave the relationship, even if they're being abused, not only because of the trauma bond, but because they feel like they're nothing if they're not in this relationship. So I wish that there was more discussion about love addiction, because love addicts are often prone to attracting narcissists, and the same going the other way. They both have severe abandonment issues. They both have low self-esteem. They both need lots of attention.
And I love that, Sherry, and I agree. I said, even, working with couples for as long as I have, I said, usually there's no issues when you have a control freak and you have a people pleaser doormat. They're not going to argue, right? I'm not saying it's healthy. Not at all.
I was going to say,
I'm not saying it's
dysfunction.
It's not healthy, but you're not going to see them. I see them, here and there as well in my office. But it's sort of ironic because they're not going to argue, because the narcissist or control freak, they are going to get their way most of the time. So everything's great. But the other one needs to feel needed. Like you said, they have this obsessive, compulsive need to feel needed, to feel valued, to feel like they have a purpose. And it's an unhealthy way, and they lose their whole sense of self and their whole identity.
Yeah. And they fall in love with that initial stage of falling in love, which is that love bombing piece. They idealize that person. They want to go back to that place. That's what hooks them in, because they keep hoping that person's going to change, and they never feel secure enough to trust them. They become dependent on the person, and they fall in love in a very unrealistic way. And they somehow hope that person is going to create the happily ever after. And if the person's starting to abuse them, they're just going to keep hoping, but what happened to that person? Whatever happened to that initial person that I fell in love with?
It's like Sherry always says, fall in love with reality and not potential, right? And it's that idea of that, like, the potential, the fantasy when you're in love addiction, right? That you'll do anything to get that hit. Like, that's why it's a love addiction. It's the dopamine. It's that, like, exciting honeymoon up and down, dysfunction, right? The highs are so high, the lows are so low. And then holding on to that. And that's kind of the roller coaster ride, is what people going.
And that's what makes it a trauma bond. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, no, sure. They look at the positive, whatever. And I did a show a while ago. I'll pick up on it now and then. I talk about the dangers of potential, right? And I see this in men sometimes, but honestly, I see it more in women. Greg, he had so much potential. He had so much potential. He had so much potential not to beat my ass on a weekly basis, or to be more romantic, to be more affectionate. Men do it too, but I do see this with women.
They close their eyes. They close their eyes.
Well,
think of it this way.
They have this image. They want this person to become this.
Well, like
And
Carla said, they want them to be what they wanted them to be. They
Yeah.
want the
Yeah.
fantasy. But
Yeah.
remember, just like with regular addiction, alcoholism addiction, you it's so easy to go into denial and say, I don't have an addiction. Well, the same is with love addiction. I don't have an addiction, but you do, because you go into denial and you minimize and you pretend because you don't want to look at the truth. That's the biggest thing. Why don't I want to look at the truth? Oh, I don't want to look at the truth because I might have to end this relationship. And that is like worse than dying to these
And
people.
face your shit, right? Like that's the whole thing. And I was
Yes.
laughing earlier a little bit about what you were saying, Greg, because it's like the codependent, as somebody who's a recovering codependent, it's like the codependent's dream, right? Like everything that you were just kind of like listing off of like this fantasy, the potential, but they had so much potential. If only they went to rehab, or if only they did this, or they went to couples therapy and they fixed themselves. Like, right. But here is the caveat. This is the catch that nobody talks about. Somebody decides to do the work. Okay. So you had this whole idea of what could be. They do the work and it's still not enough for the codependent, or
Correct.
it's not enough for the love addict, because your expectations of what the relationship would be or could be is now a reality, in the sense that you're no longer in the thick of it, of getting your needs met around the chaos and the dysfunction cycle.
Thank you, Carla. That is very wisely stated. And when you hear people talk about, man, it seems like same thing. I done this, and it's the bar is always raising, or for American football fans, the goalposts always move when you go kick the field goal, right? It's always moving. It's always never enough. And it's like you keep running. It's like then a lot of people, if they're healthy enough, they'll get to, I'm not doing this anymore. I stopped. And then they'll pull themselves out of it. And it's
Well,
ironic.
they reach, like, I love to compare it to real addiction, because addicts and alcoholics reach their bottom. Well, you can, so do codependents and love addicts. They reach what is that bottom? I mean, like you said, do they have to keep being beat up to reach their bottom? And how big do they want to dig their hole?
And everybody's different. It's no one can do it for them. They have to do it for themselves. And I look at, dealing with affairs, cheating, she cheated, he cheated, that type of thing. And I tell people, it's ironic you brought that up. Sometimes that affair, I never condone or, justify it. But looking at, that affair might be that bottom that they hit before they're willing to look at themselves and do the work. And sometimes with the codependency, or, the compulsive love thrill, if you will, they don't want to. It's like some people are better off, or not better off. I'm sorry. They feel they're better off being in an abusive relationship or narcissist versus being alone. It's scary. I don't use a lot of psychobabble. That's not me. I never have, but I'm a huge pain pleasure principle. And they're looking at, I'm going to be with something that is a lot less painful or more pleasurable, even though it's unhealthy, it's toxic, it's shit. Instead of being alone, they feel it's a lot better to be in that situation than be alone, because being alone is just horrific to them.
Because they can't go inward. Everything is based on the outside, just like an addict, alcoholic, whatever they can get on the outside. Being alone means they have to actually look at themselves. They have to maybe look at their trauma. They have to look at issues that they've been repressing. And that's worse than, again, like death. They just don't want to go there.
No.
So I do love comparing the two,
Yeah. It's worse until your life is so unmanageable that you hit your bottom and you say, oh my God, something's got to change. And that's not even linear, because let's be honest, growth is not linear, but at least it's starting to hit your glimmers and your bottom, and you can start to get the help or recovery or trauma therapy and coaching, whatever it is that your resource is, to start getting you out of that.
Awesome. Now, when you talk about being too obsessed, and this goes with, maybe the love bombing or, love addiction. Even I hate the term people still use, and even the World Health Organization threw it out about sex addiction. It's compulsive behavior. Most people would look at OCD. Do you ever hear anyone say, oh, they're addicted to this behavior? You don't, right? So there's a lot of myths about that. But when it comes to obsessive behaviors, when you're talking about dealing with a narcissist, both of you, do you feel like that obsessive behavior, or maybe codependency about being needed, I'm going to change. I'm going to change that person. And do you run into a lot in your day-to-day lives?
Carla, you want to?
Well, when I was writing my book, Contagious Love, Break Free from Codependency for Damn Good, that up to 90% of us are codependent in some kind of way on some kind of spectrum. So, I think it's a spectrum, there's a line of it. But I think when you are, like the clients that I work with on my day to day who are getting out of unhealthy, toxic relationships, whether it was a narcissist or not, but the codependency of that really kind of like enmeshment that held it together with glue, right? It's all about the undoing. And I really put the focus on loving yourself, right? Because that is the most important. It might be oversaid and cliche, but the most important relationship that you're ever going to have is the relationship with yourself. And so it's really coming back to self and getting out of those people-pleasing behaviors, learning that no is a complete sentence, seeing the red flags, stating your needs, vocalizing it, having the boundaries. All of those things are what encompass, healthy relationships, but healthy relationships starting with yourself.
And what makes it hard is if you listen to Western music or certain, like there's a show on Netflix now called Fatal Attraction, or no, it's on Prime, Fatal Attraction. It's from the original Fatal Attraction. It's so good. But these kinds of things sort of glamorize these type of relationships. Think about, I grew up with Cinderella, and somehow this person's going to meet all our needs. They're going to come with the the white horse. Excuse me. And it just isn't that way. And so I think love songs, Carla and I always talk about Taylor Swift. I'm too old for Taylor Swift. Carla,
I love Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie.
But listen, I don't know what her songs are about, but it feels like
you're too old for Taylor Swift. That's a whole nother episode we could talk about.
Well, she has a song out now. Okay, she does have a song out now with, I think he's called National, or I don't know, some group.
The Nationals.
The National. Carla and I do this all the time. I love that song. Like, I listen to it over and over again. But okay, I digress. The point
you digress in the best way possible, because
we live in a culture. We live in a culture where we're told that like heartbreak is glamorous, that pain is glamorous. Like, how many of you there are listening to us right now on Instagram or in podcast land will listen to a song over and over and over and over again, to me too, to like misery. And it's just how it is, So we have to really look at you have to look at the cultural issues and what's going on around you, and what is love really?
I agree. And I tell people it's very subjective what love is. I tell people, it's a feeling. I tell people, even I taught college classes for a long time too. And I asked the students, right? All ages, from 18 up to in their 70s, what is love? And, put the damn textbooks away, put Google away. I want you to tell me what love is. And for me, it's simple. It's a feeling, right? And, I look at, okay, what is healthy love to you? And there's a difference. I think a lot of people look at, self-love, self-respect, and I'm huge on that there's a difference between, some people get it twisted, that with self-love and self-respect, it also equals being selfish.
God.
And that is entitled. And we could talk about, Sherry, we could talk about younger generations about being entitled, selfish. Anyway, but
Carla might be better at that discussion.
And
not that she's selfish or entitled, but she's more of the age group that I think we're discussing.
I didn't even ask her because is that still rude to ask women how old they are? So,
I was going to say, I don't, if it's you, it's what's your motive of asking a woman how old she is?
Curiosity.
I always go back to what is the motive. If you were to ask a man how old he was, or curious as well in the same way, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Curious. Right.
Yes. 32
I'm in my
years
early
old.
60s, if you'd like to know. Oh, you too? Okay, there you go.
No, I'm saying she's 32. I'm not.
Okay. I didn't think you were that old.
I'm in between. I know most of my clients, believe it or not, are people of color, are Black, and I'm unique and I love it. And, I always say, right, Greg, how old are you? How old do you think I am? And then I tell them how old. And, really, I said, yeah, white don't crack, right? No, well, let's face it, white cracks a lot, but no, it's, but going back to describing healthy love, self-love, self-respect. And can you both elaborate what your maybe ideas are or concepts of being codependent versus love, self-love?
I'll try to answer that. I mean, just like
Please, Sherry, please.
I talk about this a lot as Carla does in her book. My book is Love Smacked. It's on Amazon Kindle. And I talk about this in length that, in healthy relationships, couples first meet and they idealize each other as they're forming this attachment. But supposedly, as love matures, it becomes less intense and more secure. What I always say is you want to be moving towards a secure attachment. And you can, whether you have a disorganized or an insecure or an avoidant, you can move towards a secure attachment. But people that are codependent love addicts, they idealize the person they're in love with, and they never feel secure enough to trust them. And they become, like a codependent love addict, become dependent on them. They love them in a very unrealistic way. And again, they hope that this person will bring them that happily ever after, which is not a healthy type of love. I have to also add to when you said love is a feeling. I always say love is a verb. It's an action.
Oh,
Love is
absolutely.
how you treat a person. Like if we just go by our feelings, we have a saying in the 12-step program, and I can say it because I'm not, I don't care that, I mean, it's an anonymous program, but in Al-Anon, we say, God, what am I trying to say? Love is a verb. Love is an action. Oh, feelings aren't facts. Feelings aren't facts, right? So you think you are in love, but is that really true? Is that really true?
And I love that. And I agree. They are feelings. And I'm huge. I'm different than a lot of other therapists and counselors. I'm huge on feelings, and which a lot of people will disagree. You just said feelings are not facts, right? I'm huge on feelings, and I'm huge on purpose, especially, relationships and all this stuff, even with people, or we could tie this in with the narcissistic tendencies, narcissistic people, codependency. It's about do your feelings, do they matter? I'm huge, and I teach couples, first thing, do you go after how your partner feels, right? Then we can use logic, rationale, whatever. I want to know first, how do you feel? How do you both feel? What is going on? Do you even check? Why are you mad? Why are you pissed off? Why are you hurt? That type of thing. It's not a right or wrong. If you go after it, you're going to show that person you care. You're going to show that person maybe you're concerned. You're going to show compassion, at least curiosity, right? And then we can go after maybe what you feel is based on a perception that's not accurate. So that's Sherry. That's where I look at, that the feelings might not be accurate, but the feelings, I tell people, they're real. They're legit, but they might be based on something that's not factual or not accurate.
Well,
so
I was just telling a client the other day that
Yeah.
you are not irrational as a human being, but your feelings and your thoughts are irrational.
They could be.
Because they're valid, but there's a difference between your feelings being valid and your feelings being irrational.
Correct.
And so the thing is I'm actually really big as a coach on feelings. My clients know about the feelings wheel, because when you can identify your feeling, right? Because you feel and then you go to the thoughts and then you spin in the thoughts and you never connect with your feelings. So if you can start to break down and actually connect and spot, oh, this is what I'm feeling, and separate it from yourself, the thoughts start to subside. So I am all about getting in touch with your feelings. And then you don't have to have feeling, thought, and then this impulsive behavior around the thought.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's how you break it down. It sounds simple, but it's a practice.
Well, it sounds simple, Carla, and I agree. It's not. And I tell, we can feel a certain way. That doesn't give us a right to be, like you said, impulsive. That doesn't give us a right to call each other out our names or whatever. And tying in feelings, because a lot of times with, maybe codependency and narcissistic tendencies, you're looking at maybe both people don't really care how you feel. You get me? They don't care if you're mad, you're upset. It's all about them, and they're going to twist it. The codependency I've seen too, and please tell me if you disagree, that a lot of people codependent, it's again, how they feel and how it affects them. I want to feel this way, so you better feel this way.
Absolutely.
And there's a difference between, a lot of people don't know. They sort of, you hear codependency, but there's a difference between codependency and dependent. behavior. And a lot of people don't know the difference between the two, and to be able to look at, I want you to feel good because it makes me feel good. If you're upset and I can't make you happy, oh my God, I feel so terrible. And it's about me. I'm not doing my job. My purpose is lost. I can't. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you about feelings. You don't want to repress your feelings. You want your feelings to be heard. You want to be understood. Everybody wants to be understood and known. I was talking more about feelings when it comes to dating and meeting someone. And are you in that romantic high feeling? Is this a realistic feeling? Is this, because what I find is for many, they attract what they know. Like I talked about earlier, they attract someone who's a replication of what they grew up with. And suddenly that's what feels good. But a lot of times that isn't what's necessarily good for them. Like if I know I have that, oh my God, crazy butterfly out of my mind feeling, I'm going to probably run the other way. I had this happen the other day. I was on a dating app. And the guy is like, seems really charming. He likes fast cars. And he actually says in his profile, I drink frequently. I missed that part. And so I wrote,
what does that
so
mean?
he frequently. And I my ex-husband was an alcoholic. So the last thing that I want is a frequent drinker. I don't mind someone who's a social drinker. But for a second, I mean, a split second, I went, oh, this looks good. And then I went, oh, no. You don't want some. And that's that piece where it felt good. Like he looked like fun and he was cute and he liked, like I said, fast cars and la, la, la. Well, if I go down that road, it's not. And that was a feeling. So really check in with yourself and go, what is this feeling? Is it
Where's
a feeling?
It coming from? What's driving it?
Exactly.
I'm huge on that. Absolutely.
And listen, I've done a lot of work on this. I work with other people and I still can get like,
I actually was just talking to my client the other day because he was going after somebody who had narcissistic tendencies. But he said there was a part of him that really just like felt attraction and there was this spark and whatever. And I said to him, even as somebody who's recovering codependent, yeah, like when I was dating, I will tell you right now, I would feel that excitement and thrill with certain people. And sure enough, like the more I get to know them or, whatever would happen, more would be revealed. And I'd be like, oh yeah, this is not like somebody I should be going after. Versus like that feeling of attraction that feels stable, still feels
secure,
exciting.
Always moving towards secure attachment.
Still feels exciting. Okay, don't get me wrong. There's this attraction. It's great. But there isn't this thrill factor. And it's a very subtle difference of this like thrill factor, exciting, woo, right? Versus this like, wow, I feel really stable and secure. And I really like you. And you're really awesome. And
you have both.
Yes.
Nothing's perfect. And it's ironic. And with both of you, it's funny. The old debate, we have to be friends first. I'm like, I get the theory behind it, but if the chemistry's not there, chances are, this is my theory, chances are it will not be there. Yes, there are outliers that the chemistry builds and it gets there. There are outliers that I have seen. I work with all kind of people.
And I'm probably going to sound very sexist, but I think men are very, and this is maybe completely wrong.
Oh God, where are you going? Where are you going with this?
And you guys can just say no, but I think often sometimes men are more visual, so they cannot be friends first. But I think women sometimes, that has just been my experience with clients.
Oh, that's awesome. Sherry,
that they can sort of, some of them, can meet someone and it isn't like crazy love. And then suddenly they're being treated really well. They can fall in love with being treated really well. I mean,
correct. Sherry, I love
my women clients though, real quick. My women clients want a hot guy.
Yeah.
They want a what?
A hot guy.
Women are just as shallow as men. One of the first things, let's be honest.
Well, I don't say they don't want hot men, but I'm saying
just attraction.
But I'm saying that if they can't have a hot man right off the bat, I mean, as we get older, when you get to my age, I'm sorry, not as easy to find hot. Okay. It's not as easy. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Freaking hilarious.
I get that. And looking at women are just as shallow as men. Let's be honest.
Yes, we are.
And, there's, men, as we age, maybe our visual standards go down. One of the first things that women want in a man, what's the first thing that women say?
Emotional safety.
Oh, bull.
Nope.
Get out
I
of
actually, nope. I definitely think that is the women that
when
I
they're
coach
looking for
want
a guy,
emotional safety.
when they are looking for a
Okay,
man,
surface level, what they don't really like when you get to the
the
bottom
first
of
thing
what
they
they're looking
want,
for.
I want a man that's tall.
No, I
no,
like guys.
no.
I like men that are 5'9".
Say,
I'm
my partner's
5'1".
under 6 foot.
5'9". I'm 5'6". What the hell?
I mean, 5'6" is fine too. I'm 5'1". There is, so I think yeah, we better not go down this road because I just don't agree. And I know that
you don't have to agree.
I know there's a lot of women that want tall,
yeah,
or a lot of women that maybe not want someone that's bald, or they don't want. I mean, they have these ideas in their head, and you know what?
Well, I think both do. Both women and men. They are. I think it's more. Going back to the friend first thing, I'm all for that, but I look at, and I'd love to hear Carla's take on it because she's chewing on her tongue waiting for this.
I'm waiting for my turn to talk.
Waiting on this too, to be able to look at, and I look at, you can be friend, but if that chemistry is not there, it can be down the road, but there has to, and it's rare if it is. And I have friends, I have clients, couples that met, they were friends, and then the chemistry was there. That is rare. That is rare in my experience. But I do think, you want the friendship, you want all that, because if the chemistry dies, and I tell people, let's be honest, let's be real, right? If the difference between friendship and a romantic interest is what? It's the physical, or you live with your brother or your cousin forever and ever, right? So let's be real. The friendship and all this is there, but the chemistry, most people are looking for a different feeling than just that friendship. Carla,
okay. All right, here we
before
go.
You start bleeding all over the place.
I've got to say this. Attraction, what we're attracted to. So we had somebody on the Love Fix podcast. Her name's Deb Dana, and she talks about polyvagal theory. And basically our subconsciouses are communicating with each other. Okay. So I am attracted to somebody because maybe that spark, that exciting feeling I get, my subconscious is picking up that they're emotionally unavailable. Go for it. It feels familiar. It doesn't mean that you should go after it. So I'm really big on this. And this is huge for people who are codependent, who are anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, who are love addicts, all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The spark probably doesn't mean what Sherry was talking about earlier, that you should go for them. Actually, instead, take a step back. And that's where I was talking about that thrill factor. There's an attraction piece, but then there's that little edge of a thrill factor.
There's a difference.
There is a difference. And I think that if you are used to, and you're conditioned, literally your chemical makeup in your body is made up to go after that thrill factor, and that's what feels good, and that's what you're used to, then I really suggest for clients to go on multiple dates with people who maybe they don't feel that thrill, that really big excitement, because it does grow. And I have a client getting married in a couple days who went on a first date with her partner and was like, oh, it's boring. It's boring. That's what I hear. It's boring, right? Nice. Checks the boxes. Boring. Went on the second date, was like, never mind. It's great. So, this is the thing, is that I don't believe you have to be attracted to somebody right away. And I think that we have to sometimes recondition how we look at attraction and how we act on it.
That I agree with, Carla.
Okay.
I agree with you. But do you feel that there has to be a little bit of attraction first? My mom and dad.
I mean, you're not going to go out with somebody who you think is fugly.
Let's be honest, right?
Like you're not. Like you're gonna probably say, like, there's something about them that I find attractive.
I mean, there's some things you cannot get past, like someone who slurps their food. If they're slurping their food, I'm sorry, I will not be. You could be the cutest guy in the world.
Attraction. Nobody wants. Most people, let's be honest, and attraction is very subjective. We all know this, all three of us, right? Most people do not want to wake up in the morning and go, let's be honest. So, but that attraction definitely can grow and enhance based on the personality, the shared values, the laughter, how you ebb and flow together, how you complement one another. Absolutely. And there's a lot of people that are they're stuck together because, okay, let's face it, the sex is phenomenal. They're both physically attracted, but they clash outside of that. And they're wondering why they're arguing every other day. And we're not talking little disagreements. We're talking, I have a few couples currently that are in that situation that, their personality, sex is great. They're physically attracted to one another. But outside of that, it's like the compatibility and the connectiveness and how they ebb and flow. It's toxic.
So what do you do with those clients? Do you tell them that it's probably not going to work, or how do you
tell them to get long? No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I joke around a lot, right? But I usually, let's face it, I'm going to put it up there and look at. First of all, I'm going to throw it on them. I'm going to look at. Do your personalities clash? I'm a realist, okay? Do you feel your personalities are clashing, and what's going on as far as how you want to live your life, how you want your lifestyles, how you view things? It's like you have two alphas, right? And they might ebb and flow and jive together, great. But a lot of times what they're going to do, they're going to clash, and they're always going to try to be right. And I get couples away from that anyways, right, wrong. But looking at how, I want to know, is this healthy for you? And is this how you want to continue this relationship? Or are you willing to stop? Now, one person could be, outdoors person, loves outdoors, whatever. And the other one hates it. Yeah, they can get along. You can sort of give and take on that, right? But when you're talking how you want to live your life on a daily basis, what you value, it's like, there's a lot of people in this field that will, you have to sort of give and take, on everything. No, hell no. You have one person that wants sex once every 6 months, and the other one wants it 3-4 times a week. How do you compromise on that? You can't. You just can't. One wants to be monogamous, and the other one wants to be swingers, lifestyle, whatever. You can compromise, right? You be monogamous during the week, you be swingers on the weekend. It ain't gonna. One wants a child, the other one doesn't want a child,
right?
And again, the potential, right? The other one's going to change their mind. The other one's going to change their mind, and that's where tying in with codependency and all this stuff that I tell people, you don't want to sell out the essence of who you are, what your values, what your morals are. Those are crucial, because you will be miserable. You compromise on a lot of stuff, but you don't want to compromise and sell out the essence of who you are. It's just the resentment, you're going to resent yourself and then your partner, or you're going to resent your partner first and then you're going to resent yourself. And it's very difficult.
And that's why when you date, and probably Carla can speak to this more, you want to ask really good questions. That's how you're kind of on a fact-finding mission,
Expectations, right?
I practice what I preach, because whatever I tell my clients to do and coach them on around dating, I did myself. And, I think the other thing too, with all of this, of what you're talking about with resentment, there's a great saying, which is expectations are resentments waiting to happen. So, you got to check in with yourself on that too.
Correct. Now, I want to say, I know we have to get going, and you two
this is fun. I know we like hanging out with you.
I love this. This is awesome.
This is great.
Well, I'd love to have you both on anytime. Absolutely. Just let me know, please, quickly, but clearly, let people know where they can find both of you. You both have books, and your podcast, Love Fix Podcast, again, where people can find you and reach out. Now, I'll be sharing your stuff all over the place as well, too.
So we are the Love Fix Podcast. What's funny is every time I say the Love Fix, people go, wait, what? The Love Fix, what is it? So the Love Fix, I don't know if that helps better. We're at the Love Fix Podcast on Instagram. You can go to the lovefix.com. And when you go there, we have a free Are My Relationships Healthy quiz that you can take, find out immediately whether your relationships are healthy or not. We're also, we started a group coaching program waitlist at thelovefix.com where you can sign up there. So definitely go check us out. We are out everywhere. You can listen anywhere, everywhere, all over the world. You can find me at I am Carla Romo. That's my TikTok, my Instagram. If you want any of my books, you can go to carlaromo.com or Amazon. Sherry, I'll throw it to
Make
you.
that so easy. Mine's a little more confusing, but really go to thelovefix.com. That's really where I want people to go. But if you want, you know, I have a great Instagram. It's trauma. I always forget _line codependency curious. That's trauma _line codependency curious. If you want to learn a little more about codependency, and I have a book called Love Smacked on Kindle on Amazon, but check out thelovefix.com. That's and you want to check out our podcast because really we have some of the, and we're
gonna have Greg on. Greg is coming on.
Ever.
Better.
Yeah,
No,
we have the greatest guests.
Yeah.
We really do.
No, that's phenomenal. Man, we'd have fun. I believe me, we have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, this might be too much information. Did I hear what apps are you both on?
Oh, so
I'm being a smart ass. No.
I was gonna tell you all about it. But you know, we can save that. We can save that for the Love Fix.
Save that for next time.
We can do that. I'm being
out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you both.
Thank you, Greg, so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.